It really feels like not that long ago when we first started having EVs come out, every single new one got compared to Tesla, whether they deserved to or not, because there weren't that many electric options. Now, there's tons of options in every single segment. So if you specifically want a 3-row fully electric SUV, well, you can get the Cadillac Escalade or the EQS or the Rivian R1S or the Kia EV9. But this one right here, I think stands out as the best bang for the buck in that crowded segment. I mean, you could get a Lucid Gravity for well into the 6 digits, or you could get a really, really well-spec'd Hyundai Ioniq 9 for under 80 grand. Now, it might sound weird to say bang for the buck when the car is still 70 or 80 grand and that's still expensive, but this category is expensive. Lucid Gravity, like I said, the R1S regularly is 6 figures, the EQS, the Cadillacs, these are all expensive vehicles. And now that I've lived with this for a week, it definitely has all of the same features as those. It's really well equipped, but for less money. So let's just start with those basics. This is a 110 kilowatt hour battery in between a dual motor system, all-wheel drive, and it does about 420 horsepower and 500 pound-feet of torque. I'll talk more about how it actually drives a little bit later in this video. But then it does about 320 to 340 miles of range on a single charge. And, okay, I've been waiting a while to be able to do this. This is one of the first EVs I've seen / tested with, got to go all the way to the back here for it, the NACS port. This is a non-Tesla with the Tesla charge port in the US. So we're gonna start seeing these more in 2025 and 2026. This doesn't mean you can charge at every single Tesla supercharger, but without an adapter, some Tesla superchargers will let you just plug right in. It's best to just check the map just to make sure, because you don't wanna pull up to the charger and then realize this is not one of the ones that works. It's easy to do that. But yeah, Tesla superchargers with no adapter. Better some of them than none of them. If you wanna get the closest on paper, that would be the Kia EV9, which this shares a platform with. But this is obviously an Ioniq, so it's got this very unique pixel aesthetic at the front with these headlights and all these squares. I really like the Ioniq 5, and I think that looks even better than this. But you know, as far as big 3-row SUVs go, this is a pretty unique look. There's your headlights down there, your daytime running light pattern up there, pretty big logo. A whole bunch of black plastic, but still even like the squares are subtle, but they're consistent with this motif. You get around to the side, it's got these big, thick sidewall hand-cooked tires. I think they're, it's gonna start with a 285, 45, 21-inch wheels. And so those big, thick tires improve your ride quality. Again, we'll get there. You got door handles that recess. This is kind of also like a satin paint color too. It's silver, but it's not super reflective. And then this back is also very distinct. Look at all these boxes. You know what that reminds me of? You know that Rivian delivery van, which has the lights that go all the way around the top of it? This DRL setup, it kind of gives me some of the same vibes, but obviously it's an Ioniq 9 instead. You know, if you made me choose like what's the best looking 3-row SUV, I don't know if I would pick this one. I think it's nice and square and trim and handsome. I think I'd probably pick the Kia EV9 aesthetic slightly over it. Maybe that's just me. But I think we should get to the inside, because I think that's exactly where you start seeing the value for the money. So Ioniq 9 on that door handle, and again down here, and again down here. But as soon as you get to the driver's seat, okay, I already have the AC turned on because it's about 1,000 degrees. In fact, what does it say? It's only 89 right now, but it's going up to 98. It's going to be 1 billion degrees in here, so I'm gonna have the AC on. Sorry, but this is where you start seeing how well equipped this thing is. There's a lot of good features here. I'm gonna go left to right because that makes it easy. So to the left of the driver, you got this nice perforation in this soft door over here. You got storage down here, and you've got the Bose speaker system. And the Bose speakers all around this car, I think, sound pretty good. If I was giving them a rating, they'd be like a B. They're not bad, and I specifically paired my phone to this, so I'm doing Bluetooth audio, and there's good stuff coming out of these speakers. You also have this plastic door handle, but you've got memory seats over here. You've got power folding and power adjusting mirrors, which look pretty good. Then you get to the middle, there's your steering wheel. You've got plenty of controls for media on the steering wheel, as well as the screens behind it. You have an HUD, which is nice and crisp. Of course, the camera doesn't do it. There you go, you can pick that up. And then you have a second screen over here, which supports CarPlay, Android Auto, both wireless. You can drop your phone down here with wireless charging. It tends to heat up the phone, but you can drop it there if you want to. 2 cup holders, a little bit of storage in here. I want to say real quick, I think this key is ugly. I don't know if a lot of people usually comment about the key fob when they review a car, but this, even though it's functional and everything, this is just ugly. But there's a spot right there to put the key fob when you're driving. So if you care about that, there's some more storage here and some more storage underneath here. And then a decent mix of touchscreen controls and physical controls. So this is a touchscreen and it's very responsive, and their software has been great for a while. But then like having to hit this tiny button for the fan speed, I don't love that. I think that's kind of lame. But you've got the physical movement for pointing the vents or opening and closing the vents. And then you've got controls like home here. Will always take you home. If you want to go to CarPlay, that'll always jump in there. So these are functional. You start to get to know them. You also have controls on the steering wheel. There's your volume. There's your track forward and backward. It's probably going to start playing now. That's copyrighted, my fault. And then you've got these paddles behind the steering wheel to increase and decrease regen. And there, like I said, is the range. It's saying like 220 miles of range with 64% battery. It's overstating, at least telling me it's going to get more range than I was quoted when, you first learn about the car. It says 310 miles of range. Seems like it can get like 330 or 340. Anyway, let's finish off to the right here. This is a start-stop button that you do actually have to press to turn the car off. I don't love that EVs all kind of do that still, but that's the button. And then you have this twist to go into drive or push to park. Then over here you have your mode selector for what drive mode you're in, so sport, normal, or eco. And then you also have auto hold on and off, and to turn on and off the parking cameras real quick. Great. And then also this little marble accent piece I don't love. It's clearly plastic, but it does kind of shine the LED lights onto it so you can see it at night, and it kind of has this nice glow. But I don't know. That's not my favorite piece. This screen kind of curves a little bit as well. And then boom, look up here. This is a rear view camera. You can switch it on or off, although I tend to leave it on. So the mirror itself is still a fine mirror if you want that. But this camera is a little bit lower than before. I think it was maybe the Ioniq 5 or some previous EVs have had it higher up, pointed down at the road. This is more like at bumper level. Either way, it's super useful. And then these seats are very comfortable. I've been sitting in them happily for days. They are ventilated, they are heated. You can move them forward and backward without sitting in them. And we'll get to the other rows in a second, but this is nice. You also have this sunroof that opens and closes and has a motorized cover. And just in general, well equipped is the theme here. You can actually turn on the massaging seats for a long drive if you want to. I almost never do. I don't really care about them, but you have them. Has anyone ever bought a car because of the massaging seats? That's my question to you. Have you ever bought a car and been like, oh, I can never buy another car without massaging seats again? Because I've never experienced a good massage from a car seat before. Maybe that's just me. But hey, this is a 3-row SUV and definitely not a minivan. So second and third row space is a very big deal. So these are the captain seats set up. So they've got 2 large middle seats with a gap between them and then a third row. This second row is nice, again, because you have this opening and closing sunroof. The bar in the middle doesn't bother me too much. I like that it can open and close. And then plenty of foot-room. There's room for my feet under the seat in front of me. And of course, you've got this nice net here. A lot of people actually love this net. Maybe if you have babies in the back seat, this is a nice shade for them. But that net is there. The aesthetic is matched. 2 more cup holders. 2 more cup holders. Hold on a second. Cubby storage space. And more HVAC controls back here. This is a nice back seat. But there's 3 rows. So let me just go ahead and shimmy back here real quick. This is not the easiest, but it is possible. There you go. So third row, I wouldn't want to sit in. I'm 6'3". I put a 6'3" driving position, and then I have another seat in front of me here. So not the most leg room, as is pretty typical for this class, but it is possible. Also, if I'm the only one in the back, I tend to stretch my legs out. 2 more cup holders, another cup holder, forward and backward motorized seat movement. I'll get to that in a second when I go to the trunk, but also there's a lot of USB-C charging everywhere, especially if you're in the second row. That's going to be useful too. So not bad. Bose speakers get back here, vents get back here. I'm fine in the back seat for a short ride. This is a normal three-row SUV. When I say well-equipped though, that actually really means a lot when it comes to the back, because you know people store things in these massive SUVs. So this button over here at the corner gives me my power opening tailgate, which shows me a pretty reasonable amount of storage space before I even fold anything down. Like, that is plenty of space for groceries or whatever. There's a tiny bit of sub-trunk, so cables, maybe some grocery bags. But then over on the side, you have the 110 volt outlet. That is nice. And then these buttons here are pretty key because this is power folding second and third row. So if I hit this third row right side button, it's gonna power fold this seat down, flips the headrest down, and gives me a flat floor to put whatever I want in. That suddenly becomes much more storage. I can fold both of these down. But second row does the same thing. So I hit the second row right side. This is gonna move the seat up, fold this down, and give me even more flat floor. So now I can fit, if I fold all of these seats down, I could fit a bicycle back here. I could fit massive boxes, whatever amount of storage you please, because that is super useful. And then a lot of these, you've probably seen other cars where like you can hit the button, it'll fold them down, but if you want to pull them back up, you gotta like really reach inside. But not with this. This is power folding back up. Both of these rows will power fold themselves back into place to return to being useful seats. I do have to manually do that, but that's it. That's awesome. Super well equipped. So as you can imagine, living with this thing, with this amount of storage and all of these features and the NACS port and the great range is great. But then there's also driving it. So what's that like? Well, it's about what you'd expect. It's nice. This is a very, very quiet, soft, plush SUV. I say quiet, first of all, because the cabin isolation, and I think there's also ANC at play here. Either way, sitting inside here is very quiet and comfortable. And then the combination of the soft suspension built in, the thick sidewall on these tires, and just the overall tuning for a smooth ride has been really, really comfortable. It's also, I mean, it's the little things, like it's a big, pretty soft, plush steering wheel. It's the general lack of distractions when you have this much visibility and, you know, a pretty reasonable, you know, small display in front of you on the HUD, and just riding and cruising along. Yeah, it has a sports mode. Who cares? It is quick, actually, just to be frank. Like, it's all-wheel drive, it's dual motor, and it's 400-something horsepower. But in general, if you're doing road trips, I love that it's the NACS port. I love that it's well over 300 miles of range, and it's like an honest 300 miles of range, too. And it seems to have no issues with, you know, just basic, like, being able to change the amount of regen on the fly. And, you know, if you're cruising on the highway, maybe you just want to put it in coast and do that for a while. But if you're in day-to-day, bumper-to-bumper traffic, having the regen is efficient. All this stuff is nice. So I have no complaints about driving this thing. You feel the weight when you're turning, sure. I think it's like 6,000 pounds. But again, almost nothing in this class is tuned to be super sporty, other than maybe like the quad motor R1S or some of those. So I think this is a good job of being nice, soft, and comfortable all the time. I think my only real downsides with this, honestly, are pretty minor. I'll give you my top three. One is this looks and feels pretty cheap. Two is this looks and feels even cheaper. It's functional, but God, I hate looking at it. And three, I think the front trunk, which honestly they probably don't expect people to use very often, is pretty tiny, and honestly I'll probably never use it, but I'll show it to you anyway just so you can tell. This is the Ioniq 9's front trunk. It's already full of cables. These are adapters for the NACS port and a charging cable. So small front trunk, not particularly useful. That's a tiny third downside, but overall, I mean, I'm impressed. Satin paint, pixel lights, they're growing on me. The aesthetic is growing on me. I'll admit it. I think it's pretty handsome. But let me know what you think. Is this the best equipped sub $80,000 fully electric three-row SUV? It's a pretty specific category, but there's a lot in it. I think this might be the one. Let me know if you'd pick this or the Kia EV9 in the comments. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace.